Hi everyone, Kay Berkner here today with Dr. Tom Phelan, author and creator of 123 Magic, as well as the author of The Manager Mom Epidemic. Dr. Phelan, welcome.
Good morning, Kay.
How are you today?
I'm good. Nice spring-like breezy day in Chicago.
Yes, I hear that we're expecting a lot of snow though, so enjoy it while you can.
This won't last long.
Yeah, exactly. So today we are going to be talking about two things, actually. We're going to start our conversation off and we're going to talk about self-esteem. And then at the end, we're going to briefly touch on co-sleeping. Starting out the conversation about self-esteem, it's been a very popular topic of ours when we talk about it. And it's something that impacts a lot of kids and a lot of adults. Dr. Phelan, can you start out by talking to us a little bit about sort of what are the elements of self-esteem? What is self-esteem really?
Yeah, I think self-esteem has been misunderstood for about 100 years. There have been about 23,000 articles and books written, and everybody's still in a tizzy about what it is. Self-esteem is an instinct. It's an inborn, what some people call cognitive mechanism. We are wired. It's software inside us. And what it does, it makes us respond positively and feel good about ourselves when we do something that helps us master our environment, like get along with other people or get good grades in school or whatever. And it makes us feel badly when we do the opposite, when we don't get along with other people, or when we flunk a course or do poorly in the sport or something like that. So it's something that goes on and off. It can make us feel good, make us feel bad. Sometimes it's not there at all. When you're watching a movie and having a piece of pizza, there may be no self-esteem instinct activated in your brain whatsoever. And those are very nice times too.
So essentially, it's kind of the awareness of our measuring of our own sort of feeling of self-worth.
That's right. And self-worth and self-esteem, we sometimes use them interchangeably. Sometimes self-worth gets hooked up more with your feelings about how you think other people feel about you. But yeah, it's kind of a quick and dirty measure of how we think we're doing. We call that global self-esteem. Every once in a while, we take a whack at how am I doing, and we feel good or bad depending on that. And that means it's also, the global self-esteem thing is also a prediction of our future, especially when you get more ruminative, like adolescence, and you start thinking, how am I gonna turn out? What's gonna happen to me? Your self-esteem is a prediction of what kind of life you're gonna have.
So obviously, as parents, we want our kids to feel good about themselves. We want them to be successful, happy adults when they grow up. And, sort of as an extension of that, then it naturally makes sense that we would want them to have higher levels of self-esteem. Can you tell us what the biggest mistake that well-meaning parents make when it comes to trying to help their kids with their self-esteem?
Yeah, I think false praise, I think, is one of the biggest things that we run into when we praise somebody for doing something that really they didn't do very well. They didn't really work very hard on that paper. They got a C-. We should have said to the child, I don't think you put in enough effort on that particular score. So I think the empty praise is a good thing, but praise is good when it's attached to realistic success in the big bad world. But empty praise is something it's been criticized a lot, and it's something that we don't want to do. I'm going to praise you no matter what you do is not the way we want to approach our children.
Yeah, especially because I think at some point, maybe not when they're very little, but at some point as kids get older, they're going to know, right? They'll feel if there's a dissonance between the way that they feel about how they've done on that paper or how well they did doing something and what you're saying to them about how good it was. Like a kid knows when they haven't tried their best. And then if a parent praises them, they're either going to feel like the parent is not telling them the truth, or maybe they're going to feel like they got away with something if they're like, oh yeah, I did that homework assignment in 15 minutes. And, but either way, like that's not really what we're trying to achieve.
No, and you brought up another very relevant point, and that's the age of the child. Kids are preschoolers. You can do empty praise. You can say, they can throw the football up, it hits the end of their toe, drops on the floor, they fall on their rear end. You can say, nice kick, and they'll get a kick out of it if they're 3 or 4 years old. If they're 8, now they're getting into the territory that you're talking about. Don't say nice kick. They know they didn't make a good kick, and they know they didn't do well, and they will be embarrassed and bewildered by you're attempting to praise them in that situation. So we also think 8 is kind of the age where, yeah, they do start to know what the rules are and they do start to know what success is.
And so, what might a parent be able to say in that situation that is encouraging, but not false praise?
You can, one of the things you can do, I mean, you can always praise effort if the effort is there. And maybe the performance wasn't there, but you say, if you keep working hard like that, you're going to be successful, and so on. Carol Dweck in her book Mindset always talks about, we don't want to tell kids you're so smart. We want to say you put a lot of effort into that, and that's one way that you can, do that and say I'm really proud of you because you tried so hard, and next time, things might work out better for you.
Yeah, and I do think, I know that growth mindset is a topic that is getting incorporated into a lot of school curriculums. A lot of teachers are reading picture books about it or doing units around it. So it's a term that more and more kids are getting familiar with. So I think it's a helpful thing for parents to be familiar with too, because then you're kind of starting to speak in a parlance that your kids are familiar with, and they'll recognize it as encouraging growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good thing. And a lot of people, as you said, are cognizant of it today.
Yeah. And I think, as we talk about how growth mindset relates to self-esteem, growth mindset is sort of the point of view that your abilities are not fixed, right? That you can work hard and you can continue to try and gain in skills and get better at things. And I would have to imagine that someone who has a growth mindset, who believes that they can change their skills and attributes in that way, is actually going to have more self-esteem because they're going to feel like there's always some place for them to go and they're always going to be able to make progress.
I think so. And I think they can look forward to it. And they can think, oh, well, I'm not good enough at this now. If I work hard, oh my goodness, now I've worked hard, I am better at it, and I am improving. And that's a big self-esteem boost because that's almost the essence of a sense of optimism.
Absolutely. So, we've talked about some things that parents can do, some things that maybe they shouldn't do. Where are the places or the times where it's actually going to be more impactful and more beneficial to our children's self-esteem if we as parents actually take a step back?
Well, I think you're hitting a big nail on the head here with regard to self-esteem, because I think one of the things that we don't do well in this country at all is encourage independence. And when you're talking about taking a step back, that's one thing we need to do. Let me give you an example. You have a 12-year-old son, and at dinner time, you ask him, do you have any homework tonight? That should not be happening. He's 12. He's got the executive functioning skills to remember and carry out his homework. Parent in that situation should take a step back, because even if he does the homework after you remind him, you had to remind him, and that takes away some of the satisfaction for him. If you can set up an independence training routine, maybe using natural consequences or something like that, where he has to remember it, he has to carry it out and do it, and then you reinforce that afterwards. Wow, you remember to do your homework by yourself. You did a good job on it. You've been doing this for the last 2 months. I'm really proud of you. Something like that. That taking a step back is wonderful, because kids' independence, kids want to do what the big people are doing. They want to be independent from their parents, and they get a big kick out of it. That's part of the self-esteem instinct. And we don't let them get the kick out of it because we're always hounding them with chronic supervision and asking them if they should be doing this, that, and the other thing. And we need to back off. Big time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that it's actually one of the things that you talk about a lot in the Manager Mom epidemic is sort of advising on at what age kids can start doing different things independently, which is all beneficial towards building self-esteem, because if kids feel like they're actually contributing to the family environment in a material way, not in a go clean your room kind of way, but in a I planned dinner, I made dinner, I did the laundry kind of way, then that is going to give them higher self-esteem because they know that what they're doing is valuable.
Yeah, definitely. They will be thrilled. You have a 7-year-old does their own laundry, she'll be thrilled. You have a 9-year-old cooks a meal for a family of 4, she'll be thrilled as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to change gears here for a second, and we're going to talk about co-sleeping, which may seem like a bit of a non sequitur, but what Dr. Phelan is doing now is during the course of the week, he does 2 different seminars. One is a quick 8-minute parenting tip. Next week's tip is going to be on co-sleeping, which is why we're talking about it right now. And then later in the week, he does a longer 1-hour seminar. So next week's seminar will be on self-esteem. So if that is a topic that you'd like to dig into more, please get signed up for that webinar. It's free. We'll post the information on the Facebook page and send it out in the newsletter, which you can sign up for at 123magic.com. So when it comes to co-sleeping, Dr. Phelan, what is the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation when it comes to co-sleeping?
It means don't do it in the same bed. There's really 2 kinds of co-sleeping. One is bed sharing, the other is room sharing. And the pediatricians are talking more about bed sharing, is that sleep separately. You can have a bassinet by the bed or something like that. And you can be in the same room when the babies are babies, but they don't like the idea of people being in the same bed, partly because of the SIDS concern and other dangers. But there's a lot of people that disagree with the pediatricians.
Yeah, you mentioned that, but and not just parents, right? Who is disagreeing with the pediatricians?
Well, there's, a lot of people in a whole lot of other countries, co-sleeping is much more common than it is here, although it's common enough here. But there are tons of parents and there are tons of professional experts. I just read a book recently, I don't remember the author's name, but and he was saying that he felt that co-sleeping is common in other countries. It's good for the baby's brain, it's good for their breathing, it's good for this, it's good for that. And I think to a lot of parents, it feels good and they enjoy doing it. But one of my gripes against it is that there's a thing I call involuntary co-sleeping, where the parents don't really want to do it, but the kid wants to be in bed with you, and the parents don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, no, that's me. I was saying when I first got a dog, everyone that I worked with was taking bets on how long it would be before the dog slept in bed with me, and I said, no living beings in my bed that are not me. And same rule for me has applied with my kids. And a lot of that is just about like the quality of rest that I get. I'm sure that some people are able to successfully co-sleep with their children. My children have very pointy elbows. So they are not in my bed. My husband is lucky that he gets to share my sleeping space as well. But I know that co-sleeping is sort of a question that a lot of parents have. And so next week, Dr. Phelan, like I said, will be doing an 8-minute parenting tip video. So very quick seminar. He is going to be talking about, sort of the differences between room sharing and bed sharing. If you choose to co-sleep, how can you minimize the dangers of SIDS? How to manage the involuntary co-sleeping, the children who want to be in bed with you, particularly an anxious child who might come and try and crawl into bed in the middle of the night. And if you do choose to start out co-sleeping, how you can transition from co-sleeping to having kids sleeping in their own rooms.
For sure. That's one of the hardest parts is the kid's now 10. They're getting to be about as big as you are. There's 3 of you in the bed. You're thinking, this is getting a little uncomfortable. How do you handle it?
Yeah, absolutely. So if that is a topic that you are considering or have questions about, join Dr. Phelan for his free 8-minute seminar next week. Thank you so much, Dr. Phelan. This has been terrific. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.